Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Let's Play video. In today's video, we are back in our Let's Play Survival World. Now, you might have noticed that my skin looks different, and it looks like a default skin, so I don't think it took my skin file. We're having problems with the skin, okay? But nevertheless, I'm really excited for this video because we're finally going to be getting to working on our creeper farm. Now, the only thing is we originally had planned to make our creeper farm on top of our base, but I don't think that's going to be the case since, you know, we kind of got to go really high up in the sky to make this. Now, the first thing we got to do to start making this creeper farm is get up to sky limit, and unfortunately I have no bamboo, so I think that's going to be our first task. I see bamboo off in the distance. There she is. Okay, so as I'm harvesting all this bamboo, it just dawned on me that we have a bamboo farm literally at our house. I don't know how I forgot that. It's underneath my bone meal farm. Alright guys, so we're back with the bamboo, and I was about to make the scaffolding and I realized we don't have any string. Well, that's a lie. I guess we do have like 7 string, but we need a lot of scaffolding, so we're gonna need a lot more string. Okay, I got 17 string. I'm gonna see if that's enough. I don't know if we have enough. I'm hoping it's enough. Okay, it was not enough. Dang, 20 gunpowder. I don't even know if I need a creeper farm. This is insane. All right, I'm just going to use the scaffolding I have and see if it gets us all the way there. 6. We need like 7 stacks of logs. Oh, you know what? These trees would be fun. Walking in a winter wonderland. Alright guys, so I should have enough materials to make this build. We did a lot of collecting, mostly wood, though we found some really big spruce trees, and we've got all our materials. So this is the materials we're going to need to make the farm. So we've got our scaffolding, which I'm hoping is enough to get to where we need to go. And then we've got some planks, some buttons, a lot of trapdoors, some gates, some carpet, fences, hoppers, stairs, and then we're going to make snow golems, water bucket, and then torches. So creepers are usually scared of cats, and usually cats is what you'd use in a creeper farm, but this time we're going to be using snow golems because snow golems and creepers, they don't like each other either. And then we also have another shulker box full of entirely spruce planks. Okay guys, so I think this is the spot I'm going to build the creeper farm. It's a little high up into the air already, as we are at Y113, so that's going to give me a lot more room to work with. So I'm not starting at Y60, we're already starting 50 blocks on the way there. Alright, so without further ado, alright, so I've made it to the top of the scaffolding and we're at Y239, 11 blocks short of where I need to go. So I think I'm just going to use a couple blocks to get there. Alright, now we're at the top. Alright, so now we're 250 blocks up into the sky, so let's go to get started on this farm. First, I'm going to make a little platform off of my starter thing here, so we'll make a 3x3 with just, I guess, dirt at this point. Doesn't really matter. And then we can get our shulkers down. Okay, one thing I didn't mention was you will need a chest. I did not have that in my shulkers, but you do need a chest. So then we'll place our chest right there. And then we can take all our hoppers here. And you'll want to shift. Put a hopper going into... Oh, wait, I forgot. Gotta do it off to the side. Alright, and then you just want a hopper going into this hopper. A hopper going into that one. And then they're all going into each other. Pause. Alright, then you should have something like that. Alright, now what we're going to do is pretty much fill our inventory full of spruce planks. And then we're going to put a block right there and a block right there. Once we have this block over our chest, we now want to go up 19. So from here, we'll go up 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 17, 18. So that'll be 19 total that we just went up. And I'm going to take fall damage and I almost died. Okay, we need to be careful. But going off of that, you'll then want to build around your entire hopper area. So we'll go ahead and wrap around like this. And then we can also just break these corner blocks because we really don't need the corners. All right, and then you just want to take these up 19 blocks as well. Oh yeah, while I'm placing these blocks, I want to give a shout out to Waddles for the design of this mob farm. This is not my design, and I'm going off of Waddles' video for making this farm. I usually make a creeper farm with cats, but I felt like I really didn't want to have like that issue of getting cats up there and then positioning them correctly. So I think I'm just going to try this and see how it is with snow golems. Alright, just like that, we have the entire pillar built. Don't be like me and leave your shulkers down there because you will need the items in that shulker, so we're going to have to go back down there and grab them without dying. Oh my god, I have 1 heart. It's getting dangerous out here, man. If I die without my elytra, I am done. Okay, so very carefully, we just want to place our stairs on our blocks that we just built up. So we use all 12 stairs that we have, which I have 16 because I can't count, just like that. All right, now we'll take our blocks again and we'll go out 2 on each staircase. So it should look something like this. All right, perfect. Now once you have this, we kind of want to just fill in a platform and connect all of these. So you want to build out like this. But then again, like we did here, we don't want to put the corner here. So then we can just fill in the rest of the blocks. But remember, don't put the corners on all 4 corners. Okay, and then you should have something that looks like this. Okay, so from here, you're going to want to place some temporary blocks. So we'll place temporary blocks like that. And then we'll want to go back into our shulker box, which we can place over here. And we'll grab our fence gates. And then we can place a fence gate, a fence gate, and a fence gate. And then over here, same thing. And then 1 fence gate here. And then we'll want to place a temporary block and then another fence gate. And then from here, we can break our temporary blocks. And then we should have something like this. All right, and then the next things we want to do is just have all these gates open. So every single gate should be open. All right, and then you can take your blocks and then you just want to fill in these corners because this is where our water funnel is going to be. So this will just help your water kind of funnel correctly. Okay, so for the next step, we just need to make the walls for this. So what we'll do is we can go here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we just need to do a 5 high wall pretty much all the way around this entire platform. Okay, now we should have something that kind of looks like this. Now, one thing I kind of did forget was our water, so we're gonna have to go get that. All right, so once you have your water, you're then gonna want to put your water on top of each block that's elevated. So it should be something like this. And just like that. Now, one thing to note, this is going to push you. So I know I have an elytra, but if you don't have elytra, one thing you can do is add water down there at the bottom by the hoppers, and you can jump down and, you know, get back up, yada, yada, yada. But since I have an elytra, I can just use fireworks and hop out of here. Hopefully we're gonna hop out of here. We're gonna hop out of here. There we go. We hopped out of here. Oh my god. And we're flying. We're going crazy. Okay, we almost died again. Let's go. How low can we actually get our hearts without dying? That's the name of this video. All right, so once you have your water kind of flowing something like this, you're then gonna wanna make the spawning platforms up here. All right, you're gonna wanna go up 1 block, and then you're gonna go out like this. And then you're just gonna wanna take this 4 on each side. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we just kind of fill this in. And then you're just going to do the exact same thing on all sides of your creeper farm. All right, then you also want to make sure you fill in these corners right here. So just make sure you don't forget that. And then they should somewhat kind of connect. And then we want to go to the center of any side and then place a couple temporary blocks. So we'll place 5 temporary blocks like this. Once you got it like this, you can go ahead and remove 2 temporary blocks there and 2 temporary blocks there. We're going to make kind of like a plus sign, but with a block in between of each. So we'll go off like this. And then when you come back, break that block, break that block, and then we're gonna have to jump across. Maybe don't do that in your build. And then we'll break that block there, and then you should have kind of like a plus sign. All right, so this is pretty much when you want to get into your shulker box and get some trapdoors as well as your fences and your buttons. So from here, you can put a button on every single block that's sticking out like this. So that should be 4. And then you'll also want to take a trapdoor, put it there, and then you can also put one like so. If you want, you can go ahead and open these up and you can walk across. It'll just make getting across a lot easier. And then you can start putting an oak fence. This oak fence will wrap around the entire center block here. And then you'll want to break the middle. And then we can pick that up. And there we go. We have surrounded this middle block with oak fence. And then we just want to finish placing the trap doors. So before you close them, it's probably easier to just do it like this. And then you can jump across and place it real quick. So maybe just don't close them first, but you can do it however you like. And then we should have something that looks somewhat like this. All right, so the next thing we want to do is go back to our middle block here so we can open up these trap doors so we can walk across. And then we'll want to place a snow block there and a snow block there, and then a carved pumpkin on top so we get a snow golem, and he should sit right there in the center. All right, from here, we're going to need to put up some walls, and these walls are going to need to be too high. So we'll go ahead and do that all the way around the base and making sure that these are outside the base and not inside on our spawning platform. All right, and then we should have something that looks like this. All right, and once you have your walls looking like that, we can take our carpet. I'm just gonna take all of it here and then pick up my shulker box. like so. And then we can take our carpet and place it just like that. And we'll do that on each side. All right, and then it should look just like this. Okay, so the next step, once you have your carpet and walls like this, is we need to put on a ceiling. So we can just place a block there, and we need to basically put in a platform. So this can also act as a ceiling, but it'll also be the floor for the spawning floor for the next layer of our creeper farm. Okay, now once we have something like this, we can then go back into our shulker box here, as I keep forgetting, and get out some trapdoors. From here, we're just going to place trapdoors onto the ceiling like this. This will prevent pretty much anything but creepers from spawning, as well as these carpets that I didn't mention earlier are to prevent spiders from spawning. So we'll just want to go across our entire ceiling, adding in these trapdoors. All right, so now once you have all your trapdoors out like this, we then want to go to the next layer. So I'm just going to do something. I don't necessarily recommend doing this, but if you have the blocks, you might as well. I'm just going to build out and then build up like that. So I guess I kind of do recommend it. So do whatever you feel is necessary. All right, from here, we're going to do pretty much the exact same with the carpet, and we'll place our carpets like this. All right, and for the next thing, we're going to do pretty much the exact same thing that we did on the first one. So we're going to make our temporary blocks just like so until we get right over the middle. And then just like before, we'll break our temporary blocks to there and one just like that. And then we'll have something just like this. All right, and the very next step is, not what I just did. Oh my God. All right, and now the next step is gonna be build the walls up too high, just like we did before. All right, and now we should have our second floor looking like this with the ceiling on and also the trap doors. And then we'll just do pretty much the exact same thing for another layer. All right, so once you've duplicated the layers and you have as many layers as you want, I would say probably 3 to 5 is like the sweet spot. I went a little bit crazy and did quite a few more layers. We're gonna need to go down to the bottom before we close this up. So once we close up the ceiling, creepers will then start to spawn. So we want to make sure everything's ready before then. All right, so now since we're down here at our platform from where we started, we can now break these blocks right here on the outside. All right, so once you have it somewhat like this, I'm just gonna place a crafting table down and then make some slabs really fast. And we're just going to put slabs on top of our hoppers. This is going to keep the creepers from kind of being able to see us and then blowing us up, right? From there, we can take some more blocks and expand our platform because this is where we're going to be sitting so the creepers can spawn. Now, this farm would be pretty important to have looting 3 on your sword as you'll get the most amount of gunpowder per creeper if you do so. All right, so once you have your platform pretty much like this and everything's good to go, we have our slabs on our hoppers. The next thing we need to do is pretty much just go up back to the top of our farm here. So we can go up here and make sure we have blocks. And my Elytra is about to break again. All right, so I'm just going to place a block like that. And then we need to basically fill in the entire ceiling like this. And it's very important that you don't use any blocks that light can get through. So I do apologize. I'll probably leave a note at the beginning of this video to say, like, you know, don't use blocks where light can come through, because I would hate for someone to make this with glass and then wait till the end of the video. Then I'm like, hey, by the way, don't use glass. It's like, oh, you know what, dude? I'm not just unsubscribing. I'm reporting your channel. Because, I mean, I would be pretty mad. I'm not going to lie. All right, as soon as I place this block, we should have creepers spawning. Let's go down here and see what we got. We got to be careful, man. My Elytra, I need to get on breaking pretty soon. And you can see we already have creepers down here just waiting for us to kill them. And I have my looting 3 sword here. And we can just start hitting them like that. Oh, they did see me, though. I will say they did see me. All right, and you can see we're already getting gunpowder. And they're coming down actually pretty quick. All right, guys, so I think I'm going to sit here at this creeper farm for probably about 30 minutes. And see how much gunpowder we can accumulate in about 30 minutes. And then that way I can give you guys an idea about how much gunpowder this makes per hour. All right, it's been like 30 minutes. So now I'm just going to kill all these creepers. I killed some in between. So this is only like 5 minutes of AFKing. But I did kill a bunch all during the 30 minutes. I must say this also kind of works like an XP farm, since it's not like an AFK and they just die. All right, so after 30 minutes, we got about 10 stacks of gunpowder. So you would get about 20 stacks of gunpowder in an hour, roughly 640. You get like 1,280 gunpowder. I think if I did the math correctly, you get about 1,200, let's just say 1,300 gunpowder per hour, which is pretty good. Especially like we can make a crap ton of fireworks with just this. I mean, and that only took an hour, or it only took 30 minutes. It is a little unfortunate that we weren't able to add this like over our base how I initially wanted to. though it is pretty cool that we were able to get this done. And shout out to Waddles for the design of this farm. And I mean, it looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I need to remove the scaffolding now since I'm thinking about it, because I actually don't need scaffolding to get up there. We can just use our elytra. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video, and if you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. This farm was super needed in my world. I was running so low on fireworks. I was killing random creepers around the world to get gunpowder, and now we have a sustainable farm for gunpowder. It's kind of cool that this farm's not just a gunpowder farm, but also like an XP farm. So I went from level 7 to level 31 in a matter of 30 minutes, and I got 11 stacks of gunpowder. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.